Greetings to everyone and welcome to the course AEX 101 Rural Sociology and Educational Psychology. AEX 101 is a 2-credit course with a focus on understanding the social and psychological aspects that are most relevant to agricultural extension education. In this session, we begin with lecture 1 where we will look into the meaning and definitions of sociology and rural sociology. We will also discuss the nature and importance of rural sociology. In lecture 2, we will move further to understand the importance of rural sociology in extension education. Here, we will learn why rural sociology plays a vital role in agricultural development, especially in addressing the needs of farmers, farm families, and rural communities. In this session, I will be covering the following topics: concept of sociology, definitions of sociology, branches of sociology, definitions of rural sociology, history of rural sociology, nature of rural sociology, importance of rural sociology, importance of rural sociology in agricultural extension education, and finally the interrelationship between rural sociology and agricultural extension. So let's get started. Concept of sociology. The term sociology has its origin from two words. The first one is Latin word socius, which means friend, companion or associate. And the second is Greek word logos, which means study or science. When we combine these two, sociology literally means the science or study of society. It focuses on understanding human behavior in a scientific way. That is how people live together, form relationships, follow rules and build institutions. The father of sociology is Auguste Comte, a French philosopher. He was the first to use the term sociology in his famous work called Positive Philosophy in the year 1839. Since then, sociology has grown into an important discipline that helps us understand society and social life. Definitions of sociology. Auguste Comte defined sociology as the science of social phenomena subject to natural and invariable laws, the discovery of which is the object of investigation. According to Auguste Comte, sociology is the science that studies social phenomena, which means the different activities, behaviors and interactions of people in the society. Just like natural sciences discover laws of nature, sociology tries to discover the fixed and universal laws that rule human society. Next, E.S. Bogardes defined sociology as the study of social processes. According to E.S. Bogardes, sociology is the study of social processes, which means how people interact, compete, cooperate, adjust and change within society. It focuses on the continuous activities and relationships that shape social life. Maurice Ginsburg defined sociology as a study of the conditions and consequences of human interactions and interrelations. According to Maurice Ginsburg, sociology studies the conditions, that is, the situations or factors, and the consequences, that is, the results or outcomes of how humans interact and relate with each other in society. In simple words, it is about why people interact in certain ways and what happens because of those interactions. Next, Petrim Sorokin defined sociology as the generalized theory of structure and dynamics of social system. According to Sorokin, sociology is a broad theory that studies the structure and dynamics of social systems, that is, how society is organized and how society changes and how society functions. In short, it explains both the organization and the movement of society. Next, Max Weber defined sociology as a science which interprets social behavior with the aim of arriving at causal explanation of human behavior. According to Max Weber, sociology is a science that tries to understand and interpret human social behavior. The main aim is to find out the causes behind why people act in certain ways in society. Next, L.T. Hobhouse defined sociology as comprehensive science of society which aimed at the interpretation of social life. According to L.T. Hobhouse, sociology is a comprehensive science of society. This means it studies society in a broad and complete way, focusing on understanding and interpreting social life as a whole. Next, J.B. Chittambar defined sociology as the scientific study of man's behavior in relation to other groups and individuals with whom he interacts. According to J.B. Chittambar, sociology is the scientific study of human behavior in relation to other people. It focuses on how an individual behaves and interacts with groups and other individuals in the society. All the above definitions conclude that sociology is the scientific study of human society, social life and human interactions. Branches of sociology. There are different branches of sociology. First one is historical sociology that studies society in relation to historical development. Second is political sociology that studies power, government and political institutions in society. Third one is economic sociology that studies social aspects of economic activities, trade and wealth distribution. Fourth is industrial sociology that studies industrial organizations, work culture and labor relations. Fifth one is sociology of occupation, studies on work, professions and the social impact. Sixth one is sociology of religion that studies religion, beliefs, practices and their social effects. Seventh is sociology of education that studies social institutions, policies and their influences on society. Eighth one is sociology of health that studies health, illness, healthcare systems and social determinants of health. Ninth is rural sociology, focuses on village life, rural communities, culture and problems. And 10th one is urban sociology, which studies city life, urbanization, social problems and social institutions. Out of many branches of sociology, our subject of study is rural sociology. Rural sociology is the branch of sociology that studies rural communities, including their social structures, cultural norms, economic activities and their interactions with broader society. Definition of rural sociology. Rural sociology is the organized and scientific study of rural life. It focuses on the rural people, that is their behavior, attitudes and daily life. Rural institutions, that is family, caste, panchayat, cooperatives, etc. Social structure, that is relationships, hierarchies and social roles in the village. And social change, that is modernization, migration, adoption of innovations, etc. Francis Stuart Champion defined that sociology of rural life is a study of rural population, rural social organization and the social process. According to Francis Stuart Champion, the sociology of rural life focuses on rural population, that is people living in villages. Rural social organization like family, caste, community groups and institutions. The social process, that is interactions, cooperations, conflicts and changes in rural society. Next, Akshay Ramanlal Desai defined rural sociology as the science of laws of the development of rural society. According to A.R. Desai, rural sociology studies the laws or principles that govern the development of rural society. It focuses on how villages grow, change and develop over time. including social, economic, and cultural aspects. Next, Bertrand defined rural sociology as a study of human relationships in rural environment. According to Bertrand, rural sociology focuses on human relationships in rural areas. It studies how people interact, cooperate, and live together in villages. History of rural sociology. Rural sociology first originated in the United States of America. In 1907, the US President Theodore Roosevelt appointed the Country Life Commission. The main purpose of this commission was to carefully study the conditions of rural life in America. The commission identified the social problems faced by rural people. They also pointed out the defects and weaknesses in rural society, such as poor education, lack of healthcare, and backward farming practices. They also suggested measures for the improvement of rural life, especially in terms of better farming, better business, and better living conditions. This initiative laid the foundation for the subject of rural sociology, which later developed as a separate academic discipline. In 1912, the Country Life Commission submitted its report at the annual meeting of the American Sociological Society. Then in 1916, the first textbook on rural sociology was published by J.G. Gillett, which laid the academic foundation of the subject. Then in 1935, a professional journal named Rural Sociology was first published in USA to share research findings. Then during the Second World War, the ideas of rural sociology spread from America to Europe and gained wide popularity. In 1957, the European Society for Rural Sociology was established to promote the study of rural life in European countries. So these are a short history about rural sociology. Nature of rural sociology as a science. Now, let us understand the nature of rural sociology as a science. While it is a scientific study, rural sociology faces certain challenges. First, there is a problem of objectivity. Since human beings study other human beings, it becomes difficult to remain fully detached and precise. Second, the problem of complexity. Human relationships in rural society involve many factors at the same time, which makes it difficult to study them clearly. Third, there is an issue of social change. The solutions suggested by rural sociologists may work at one time but may not be valid when society changes. Fourth, the problem of controlled investigation. Unlike natural sciences, we cannot conduct experiments in a lab. Our laboratory is village itself, and people are not always willing to be studied. Finally, the problem of personal involvement. When sociologists work with rural people, they may face criticism or even accusations that they are personally involved in the issues. So, while rural sociology is scientific, these challenges make it more complex compared to natural sciences. Importance of rural sociology. Let us now understand why rural sociology is important. First, predominance of rural population. In India and in many developing countries, most people live in villages. To understand them, we need to study their social groups, institutions like family, panchayat, their customs and culture. Rural sociology gives us this knowledge. Second, rural social development. So development is not only about roads and electricity. It also means improving education, empowering women and bringing positive social change. Rural sociology guides us in planning such programs for the upliftment of villages. Third, agricultural development. Since most rural people depend on farming and allied sectors like dairy, poultry and fisheries, rural sociology helps in transferring technology to farmers, motivating them to adopt new practices and thereby improving productivity. Fourth, malnutrition and health. Many rural areas suffer from poor nutrition, lack of hygiene and health problems. By studying rural society, we can design effective health and nutrition education programs such as promoting kitchen gardens, safe drinking water and better sanitation. Fifth, solutions for social problems. Villages also face issues like unemployment, poverty, illiteracy, dowry, casteism and gender equality. Rural sociology helps us to understand these problems and suggest solutions. For example, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. This program provides rural employment and reduces migration to cities. So, in short, rural sociology is not just about studying rural life. It helps us plan better development programs, improve agriculture, fight malnutrition and solve social problems in villages. Importance of rural sociology in agricultural extension education. Now let us see why rural sociology is important in agricultural extension education. First, what is education? Education is simply the process of developing the abilities of individuals so that they can respond better to different situations in life. Second, what is extension? The word extension comes from the Latin words ex and tensio, which mean out and stretching. So, extension is a type of education that is stretched out to rural people, those living far away beyond the walls of formal schools and colleges. Third, what is agricultural extension? Agricultural extension means the transfer of agricultural technologies to farmers. The main purpose is to bring desirable changes in individuals, groups and communities. The purpose of agricultural extension is to change the behavior of farmers as desired. For example, adopting new crop varieties, following scientific practices or improving livestock management. To bring about these changes, we must first understand the farmers and their environment. Rural sociology helps us gain knowledge about the farmers' social system, their culture, customs, institutions and lifestyle. This understanding is essential for successful extension work. So in short, rural sociology provides the foundation for agricultural extension by helping us know rural people better, which makes it easier to transfer technology and achieve real change in farming communities. Interrelationship between rural sociology and agricultural extension. Now, let's look at the interrelationship between rural sociology and agricultural extension. First, rural sociology scientifically studies rural man's behavior and relationships, while agricultural extension is a type of non-formal education aimed at improving rural society. Second, rural sociology studies the attitudes and behaviors of rural people, whereas agricultural extension works to bring about desirable changes in those attitudes and behaviors. Third, rural sociology identifies the needs and interests of rural people, whereas agricultural extension takes this further by helping farmers recognize their own needs and problems and then designs programs around them. Fourth, rural sociology analyzes social groups, organizations and their leaders, whereas agricultural extension utilizes this knowledge to mobilize people and achieve agricultural development. Fifth, rural sociology collects facts about rural society and social situations, whereas agricultural extension uses this social data as a foundation for building extension programs. Finally, rural sociology investigates the wider social, cultural, political and religious issues in rural life, and agricultural extension applies this understanding when designing educational programs. So at the end I can say that rural sociology provides the knowledge and understanding, while agricultural extension applies this knowledge in practice to improve farmers' lives. Thank you for your attention. Study this lecture well for better learning.